This is a moment of great and abiding historical continuity. 41 years ago, Dr. Martin Luther King stood at this spot and he told us, I have been to the mountaintop and I have seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but he promised us that we, as a people, would reach that promised land. A message was sent to us, brothers and sisters. A message which said, in 1968, my father was taken from us, and my brother Dexter and I took evidence into a court of law in Memphis, Tennessee. Evidence that a jury found probative. Evidence that demonstrated that Army intelligence had executed Martin Luther King. Brothers and sisters, it's treason at the top. There is continuity. This is the continuation of Martin's struggle. And we have with us today the living legatee of that struggle and that onward movement. What an honor. What a historical moment. Martin Luther King III, brothers and sisters, with us today.
As I stand here where my father stood 41 years ago and delivered his vision for our nation, a vision which talked about making America a greater nation. And while we've not totally achieved all of that vision, we certainly made great strides, but God knows we still have a long way to go. I want to give special thanks to Local 10 of the International Longshoremen Workers Union, who saw that vision in 1967 and who made Martin Luther King Jr. an honorary member. For that, I thank you, ILWU Local 10. In fact, my father in 1967 talked about the tactics that labor used, often that he and others had applied in the movement to bring about social change in our nation. In 1967, he called for the mobilization of the Poor People's Campaign. And in 1968, he was to have come to Resurrection City, it was called. Some called it Tent City. He tragically did not live to see that come to fruition, but it was to bring together workers, poor blacks, poor whites, poor Native Americans, poor Americans from all walks of life, to say to our nation's policymakers, we demand the right to decent jobs with decent pay. That was over 36 years ago. It's very sad that today we find ourselves still trying to say we demand the right to decent jobs with decent pay. Some may ask, how long will it be? And we may have to say, well, we don't know how long, but we do know that the moral arc of the universe is long and bends towards justice. Some may still ask for how long. We may not be able to say exactly how long, but we know that no lie can last forever. Some may ask how long, and we still have to say we don't know exactly how long, but we do know that God Almighty is still on the throne. And so we can never give up hope. You see, because as we stand here today with 36 million people who are living at the level of poverty in this country, with over 45 million people with no health insurance, there's something wrong in America, and that must be fixed. And the only way that it's going to be fixed is for labor and the civil rights movement and working people and all of us to come together, not people who will continue to foster wars that we'll never win, because war is not the answer. We've lost over 1,000 in Iraq. We need to be focused on helping our Haitian brothers and sisters. So it's very easy to become despaired and just give up, but do not get any ways tired. Why? Because we've come much too far than where we started. No one ever told any of us that our roads would be easy. But I'm here to tell you, I know our God didn't bring any of us this far to leave us. Thank you and God bless you.
The heart and soul of the Million Worker March, the voice of the ILWU Local 10, the moving spirit, the will that made this happen, the real Clarence Thomas. Brothers and sisters, here is the brother that's responsible for this event and for an ongoing movement that will never end. Brother Clarence.
Brothers and sisters, peace and solidarity to you all. As was mentioned earlier, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King was made a honorary member of ILWU Local 10, September 21st, 1967. And one of the things that is more than a coincidence, I believe, is that when he came to San Francisco, he was in the midst of a major fundraiser where speaking engagements were going to be made from San Francisco to the East Coast. The great singer and entertainer Harry Belafonte and Joan Baez were scheduled to speak and sing on October 15th, 1967 at the Oakland Coliseum. When Dr. King was in San Francisco at our Union Hall, there was a photograph that was taken. I would now like to make the presentation of that photograph to Martin Luther King III. This photograph features your father on the left, of course. In the middle is a man who was the publisher of the Oakland Post and the first black president of the Oakland Port Commission, Tom Berkeley. And on the right, a legendary figure in the ILWU, Brother William Bill Chester, the first black ever to hold international office. This photograph of these three giants of their time captures and is the embodiment of the Million Worker March. This particular photograph is a replica. We will be sending you a framed photograph in the days ahead. We want to thank you very much. All right.
In the spirit of Dr. Martin Luther King, I would like to bring up a vocalist who is going to do a dedication first to all of you brothers and sisters and workers out there, and then next she's going to do a dedication to Dr. Martin Luther King. Brothers and sisters, I introduce Emily Baloney.
Heaven help the child who never had a home. Heaven help the girl who walked the streets alone. Heaven help the roses if the bombs began to fall. Heaven help us all. Heaven help the black man if he struggles one more day. Heaven help a white man if he turns back away. Heaven help the man who kicks the man who has to crawl. Heaven help us all. Heaven help us all. Heaven help us all. Heaven help us all. Hear our call when we fall. Heaven help the boy who won't reach 21. Heaven help the man who gave that boy a gun. Heaven help the people with their backs against the wall. Heaven help us all. Heaven help us all. Heaven help us all. Heaven help us all. Hear our call when we fall. Now lay me down before I sleep. In a troubled world, I pray the Lord to keep hatred from the mighty and the mighty from the scorn. Heaven help us all. Heaven help us all. Heaven help us all. Hear our call when we fall.
The man who was at Dr. King's side at the hardest time, at the early time, when Bull Connor's dogs were there, when the Klan was there, when the beatings were there, when the churches were bombed, and when Dr. King came back from San Francisco and his historic meeting at ILWU Local 10, and he arrived with joy in his heart, there to meet him and there to greet him, was our brother, the Executive Vice President of the Southern Christian Leadership Foundation, the Reverend E. Randall Osborne, then with Martin, now with our Martin, and forever with us in this struggle. Great honor, great privilege. Please give it up for Reverend Osborne. This man has been in the forefront of struggle for his entire life. He's been a voice for all of us in every sector of this country. A living legend, my dear friend, our brother, Dick Gregory.
Thank you. Let me say, for those of you who have worked to make this event possible, many like me, all I had to do is just produce a body, but a whole lot of work go in to making this day what we see here. So for those that was involved with that, we say thank you. I cannot believe that 40-some years ago, in the midst of this struggle, and as I walk through the crowd today and see so many of you old warriors bringing your friends and your children to this same struggle. But don't make a mistake. A lot of people kind of act like at one time America worked right and something happened. This country have never worked right for the poor, for the women, for the minorities. Never. We live in the most filthy, degenerate, ungodly, unspiritual nation that's ever existed in the history of the planet. So why is it a shock to you 4 years ago when them thugs stole an election? That's what thugs are supposed to do, act like thugs. We're the power. We're the ones that make America great. And just because you don't have the money and don't have the recognition with NBC and CBS, let me tell you something about this America. The symbol is a big, bad, bald eagle. But let me tell you about this little beautiful butterfly. This little beautiful butterfly can fly all the way across the Atlantic Ocean. It can fly all the way across the Pacific Ocean, but the bald eagle can't make that trip. Understand your power. You might be frail, You might not have the money and the guns and the power, but understand the power of the butterfly, and that's exactly what you are. 40-some years ago, in the midst of the struggle, it wasn't many of us. We were frightened in a nation that didn't give a damn. In a nation that wondered, what did we want? But who would ever believe that the handful of us in the struggle that was frightened and afraid today would stand here with a whole nation that's scared and a whole nation that's frightened. And we're the ones that say, fear not. If Homeland Security was Homeland Security, spending $1 billion a week for Homeland Security, how come they ain't how come they ain't uncovered one drug shipment coming in this country since they've been in existence? How can you tell me you looking for terrorists and can't find drugs? A 9-year-old child can find a heroin man, but the FBI can't find him. It's something wrong. Understand your power. And I don't know why everybody was upset 4 years ago when that little thug hijacked an election. All you got to do is go back and read the voting rights bill. It said, folks who have been disenfranchised, you have a right to vote. That's what the bill said. But there's nothing in that bill that say they had to count your vote. That's another march and another bill. But because of you, because of this energy, not just this country, this whole planet has changed. But you don't understand that if you're looking at NBC and CBS and ABC and Fox News. You got to look into your heart. You got to look into your mind. You got to look and say, we are making change and we don't need no army. We don't need no damn gun. We don't need nobody to manipulate the minds of children. We live in a country today that's 1/6 of the world's population, but consume 94% of the world's hard drugs. Who are we praying to? What kind of Christian nation is this here? When you stop and think, every 4 seconds you've been here today, a woman in America has been beat up by her boyfriend or husband, not terrorists, her boyfriend or husband. There's something wrong with a nation that's that sick. And what we have to do is supply the moral and spiritual force. And I say to you, I was there. We've been in this struggle. I can tell you how much change has been made. With no guns, no meanness, no bitterness. I never thought I'd live to see the day that the white press would ask a black like me to comment on white folks' problems. CNN today asked me, Mr. Gregory, you think we'll ever find Bin Laden? I say, we. I ain't looking for him. I'm trying to find out who my daddy is. Will we ever find Bin Laden? No. What do you base that on? If it took America a year to arrest Beretta, and he lived across the street from the police station, and so when I think how far we've come. When Bob Hope died, 3 o'clock in the morning, the white press called me, Mr. Gregory, Bob Hope died, can we get a comment from you? I said, I thought he'd been dead. I said, what did you say? I said, oh, excuse me, my comment is, it shows you the power of the black church and the black ministry. Mr. Gregory, you all right? I said, no, scratch that. Here's what you write. That Bob Hope family should get on a plane and fly to Chicago and go to Jesse Jackson's push and fall on their knees and kiss his feet. Because for 40 years, Jesse Jackson been yelling, keep hope alive, keep hope. And so I leave you today have never occupied the same space. Don't come here today at this rally and don't speak to the people next to you. Don't come here today to this rally and not be concerned about people when you go back home. Don't be so damn concerned about who's going to win this election that you don't see homeless folks when you go back home, that you don't see poor folks when you go back home, that you don't see people living in bad conditions that would vote if they had the energy to vote. And I'll leave you with this, a 1 with 18 zeros. This planet Earth that we live on weighs 6 sextillions, 660 quintillion tons. And when you hold that Kleenex up and let it go, it'll fall. This planet Earth that we on is being held up, and there's nothing holding it. No string, no rope, no nothing. The same force that holds this planet up with nothing on it is the same universal energy that put you together. We don't have to worry about thugs. We don't have to worry about ungodly, unspiritual, mean people. All we got to do is look into our heart and know where the power comes from, and go back with a smile on your face and love in your heart. And don't be so busy trying to get this thug out the White House that you miss all the suffering people that's next door to you. I love you. God bless you. Peace be with you.
He's wrestled with the park rangers. He's fought off the Metro cops. He's struggled for the permit. He's facilitated the sound. He's organized the event. He's administered the money. He's the heart and soul of the Million Worker March. He's our brother Shank, Keith Shanklin, Financial and Secretary Treasurer of the Million Worker March.
Thank you, Ralph, for that announcement. That was great. I really appreciate it. I'll give you the $5 later. I want to thank everybody here for attending. I want to thank the people who have been behind me 100%, who have been supporting me, my wife especially, who've been allowing me to leave out of town and be gone for days on end and then come back home and just make sure that I had a hot meal. I want to appreciate my family for allowing me to bring this to you, the people of America. I really appreciate that. And to Martin Luther King III, I really want to appreciate him for coming to the event, and Dick Gregory also, and for all the people who have been behind this 100%. I just want to say a few words before I give you my little spiel. This march has been a very inspiration to me from the beginning. And I want to thank that Local 10 had the opportunity to step forward to address the needs of the people. It's been in my inspiration to be a part of this from the beginning. But now I want to say one thing. With a grassroots movement, it's very hard to put things together when you have powers that's fighting you left and right, especially big organized labor movements. But when you have the people who are standing behind you shoulder to shoulder and step by step, I don't mind making the sacrifice to do this. I don't mind stepping up to the plate when they say you can't. I said I can. I don't mind going out and putting my fingers in the hole to keep the water back when they said it's impossible. I don't mind that. And when the Park Services was battling with us all the way up until the day we got the permit, which was Friday about 3 o'clock. But you cannot stop the will of the people, as shown that's here out in front of us. I want to thank you, and I want to thank you because it was you who gave me the inspiration to keep going.
Now I'd like to introduce a beautiful singer who's the lead singer of British Bad, Incognito, a solo artist, member of after in SAG, and her name is Mesa Leak.
Hello, everybody. I come to you today grateful to be here, and also to tell you that I hope that somehow, through our unions, we can all have better health care. In 1999, I gave birth to a premature baby. And after he finally got home and we thought the coast was clear, he developed a disease called RSV. RSV is just basically a cold virus, but in preemie children, at-risk children, it turns into a serious, almost deadly virus. But thank God at the time, I had health insurance through my union. And he was able to have the medicine that helped prevent him from ever getting this disease again. And I want everybody to know about RSV. Please go to marchofdimes.com or rsvprotection.com to find out more. But right now I want to sing and hope this is a song by Earth, Wind & Fire called Keep Your Head to the Sky. Keep your head to the sky. Oh, keep your head to the sky. Master told me one day I'd find peace in every way, but in search for the clue, wrong things I was bound to do. Keep my head to the sky, for the clouds will tell me why. As I grew in strength, Master kept me as I repent. And he said, keep your head to the sky. He said, keep your head to the sky. Gave me the will to be free, purpose to live his reality. And I found myself never alone. Changes came to make me strong. He said, be all you can, 'cause you need faith in your life to understand. So it's saying for you to hear, keep your head in place understand. Keep your head to the sky. Don't you be afraid, got to be strong. Keep your head to the sky, and the clouds will tell you why. Your head to the sky, and the clouds will tell you why. The clouds will tell you why. Oh yeah, said keep your head to the sky, and the clouds will tell you why. Every time. Don't you ever be afraid. Keep on fighting. Don't you ever be afraid. Keep on fighting for what you need. Oh, keep your head to the sky. Your head to the sky. Don't you worry, don't you cry, it's gonna be alright. Keep your head to the sky. Oh, you wanna sing it? Father, please bless us today indeed, and expand our territories. With your hand to guide us, keep us from evil and from causing anybody any pain. Amen, amen.
Workers Union, who has been there for us every minute of every day, mobilizing the buses, mobilizing the chapters, 1,350 chapters of the American Postal Workers Union, Brother Frank Romero.
Let's hear it for the American Postal Workers Union. We are here with you, postal workers from all over the country. We are also on the front line of this terrorist movement. We are standing strong. We are delivering mail for the American public day and night. We have lost 2 postal workers here in this city of Washington, D.C. to the anthrax attacks. We are here also in force to thank you, the American public, for being there against White House Postal Commission. They were trying to close post offices in rural and urban locations, consolidate postal facilities, move our work out to the private sector. That way, there would be no communication between the different cities like we are used to. Universal mail service. Postal workers are here with you today, and we are here in support of this great movement. I also stand here as a member of the Labor Council Latin American Advancement. ¡Viva los trabajadores! ¡Viva los trabajadores postales! ¡Viva the Million Worker March! We thank you! Yay, postal workers!
The next person to come to the podium is someone that I've known since 1965. He and I met as students at San Francisco State University. We both were members of the Black Student Union Central Committee. While there, we led one of the longest student strikes in American history around the establishment of a Black Studies program. Those experiences for both of us have had a great deal today while we're standing at this podium. This man, for many of you, is an action hero. He is not only an acclaimed actor, but he is just as much as an acclaimed human rights activist. He comes to us in the tradition of Paul Robeson, a man who used his creative talents and ability to uplift the oppressed, to speak truth to power. I bring you my friend, my brother, my comrade, Brother Danny Glover.
How are you, my brothers and sisters? When Leo Robinson talked about taking a moment out in remembrance, we certainly should extend that moment in remembrance to those who given their lives, workers who've given their lives over the world, over our planet. We must extend that memory to those who daily lose their lives in the workplace, those who lose their lives on farms, those who lose their lives because of genocide, the genocide attributed to our foreign policy, those Haitian men and women and children who lose their lives and have lost their lives continually, those more than 100,000 Mayan Indians who lost their lives in Guatemala, those Vietnamese who've lost their lives, those who've lost their lives in the battle against colonialism. We must extend our memory to those who've lost their lives in the battle against apartheid, those who've lost their lives, the millions and millions and millions of people who've lost their lives over the last 50 years, more than 50 years of war and genocide. Remember those workers who stand with us and who we stand here in their memory. I am proud to be here with you in remembrance of those who struggle, who you represent here. You are the embodiment and representation of hundreds and thousands and millions of people who could not be here with us today, but who are here with us in spirit, who are here with us in consciousness. You are their embodiment. You are their soul as well. To the organizers of this march, Brenda Stokely, to the organizers of this march, Clarence Buzz Thomas, Leo Robertson, Ralph Showman, Margaret Prescott, I commend you for extending your hands and extending this moment where we acknowledge ourselves and our presence and our demands in the world and in this country. I commend you for that. Those who work around the world, Selma James, the wife of the great CLR James and Women Global Strike, for those I commend you for being here and knowing that you represent women around the world, all over the world, in their struggle for justice, in their struggle for equality. I commend you for being a part of this. I commend you for the work you continue to do with women in elevating their lives and allowing them to speak truth to power and allowing them to acknowledge and empower themselves. I commend you for that work, because it is the work of women. It is the work of women that move our world. It's the work of women that move our society. It's the work of women that raise our children and raise our leaders. It's their work, and it must not go unacknowledged. We are true Democrats in a way. We believe in democracy. It is we are true democracy. We believe in the issues and the importance of democracy, the importance of our voice being heard, and we will continue that. We will not move from our position on that. I stand here with also this descendant of one of the great human beings that ever walked this planet. A man who loved humanity, a man who moved us and made us more human, a man who despised war and spoke truth to power. Martin Luther King III, the son of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. So we all here. We're here at this historic moment because it is historic. It is historic because we've taken up the banner and taken up the challenge. We know that the struggle for the education of our children, we know that the struggle for decent jobs and a living wage are not only our struggles that exist here, but they're struggles and demands for people all over the world. And we've taken up this historic challenge to say that we will denounce and we will fight those who struggle, and those we will fight those who stand in the way of those demands. We will fight and stand up to those who stand in the way of peace and justice in the world. So we stand here at this moment, and we know we cannot turn back. We cannot turn back because of our past. We cannot turn back because of the present. And we cannot turn back because we know what we have to do in the future. We stand here with our young minds and our young hearts, some of us in older bodies, but our minds and our hearts are still young, and we stand here to move. We stand here because we are the embodiment of what democracy really means. We stand here because what we do and what we demand is just. We stand here because what we demand is righteous. We stand here because what we demand, we must demand. So we move on. And we move to our organizations. We move to the rank and file the unions that we work in. We move to those who are dispossessed. We move with them, and we all move, and we all continue to move. Whether Kerry is elected or not is irrelevant, because we know we have a battle to fight. We know we have to change not only the minds of the people, minds of those in power and those who we entrust within leadership, but we know we have to set down a new paradigm for what justice means. We have to set down a new paradigm of what it means to have adequate health care. We have to establish a new paradigm in terms of what we mean by education, what we mean by justice. We must set down that paradigm, and it takes our energy and it takes our work. Not our work just showing up to the rally. That's not enough. The rally is only a catalyst. The rally is only a moment in time where we seize the power that we have, and seize and understand that power, and move on and move through and do the work we must do. That is our calling. That is not our calling, because that is our story. That is our story. We are storytellers. And the stories that we will enrich the world with, the stories we will enrich in our communities with, the stories we will enrich our families with, are the stories of liberation, the stories that will define us today, tomorrow, and forever. Thank you.
I just wanted to say this about Brother Danny Glover. What you should realize is that there were many people who wanted to come to this event today and didn't have the money to come. Sister Brenda Stokely, president of District Council 1707. She's in the tradition of Sojourner Truth. Harriet Tubman. This is a woman who single-handedly reached out to the community throughout New York City to put people on buses. Brother Danny Glover contributed several thousands of dollars in order to make it possible for people to be here today. Putting his money where his beliefs are, and that's what we're going to have to do, brothers and sisters. At this time, I would like to call Sister Brenda Stokely to the mic. Brother Leo Robinson says that when she walks, the ground cracks. This is a woman who is heroic. She's a soldier. She's a commander. I've had the opportunity to work with her up and close and personal. It is my pleasure to now bring to the microphone and podium Sister Brenda Stokely.
I'm going to have to apologize because my energy level is down to 0, but it's for the best thing in the world, and that's for us as working people to begin to reconstruct and build the kind of movement that puts a lot of people in on notice. The notice is we have the ability to speak for ourselves. We have the ability to define our own agenda. And more importantly, we have the ability to organize and fight for that. Because we're not filling all of the space here does not mean that there are not working people who saw the justification for this movement, who appreciated ILWU Local 10 for putting the call out, this heroic, bold, important call. The people that are not here are people who have to work 2 and 3 jobs to feed their children. The people are not here are the ones who got sabotaged by their own unions for being able to come here. The people are not here are the people who are sitting in jail rotten for bullshit because they don't like the way the government is run. We are going to make this park, that monument, and the White House ours. This is only a beginning, but it's a very important beginning. And as our brother just said, in terms of us only knowing our own history and legacy, they don't want us and our children to know that every important moral and political win has been won by working people and people of color and those who have been oppressed the world over. Nothing, hear me, that we have gotten has not been gotten by the to a failed plan. The failed plan is that workers cannot sit around and wait for the ruling class to decide that our agenda is important. The failed plan is that working people cannot stand around and wait for the ruling class to say that our children should not be killed in Iraq or anyplace else. The only people that can take those failed plans and throw them in the trash bin where they need to be is us. Us, working people. Continue to fight. Continue to organize. We are going to win and make this country what it needs to be. Thank you. I want to briefly introduce two very important people to me. One was a sister who stayed up all night with us before we came here to make sure that everybody got on the bus. She's the same sister who had two of her loved ones, her daughter and her son-in-law, over in Iraq and Afghanistan. She just wants to say a few words of solidarity. The other person is my brother, Ralph Peterson, who organized and rolled me to get all the maintenance workers in his huge agency to fight for a decent contract and succeed in do that. These are the heroes. These are the people that are going to make this movement what it has to be. Thank you.
Listen, I can't, how you say it, do like she does. But I just have to say, listen, I am so glad that my kids are home. And I hope that we can try and bring the troops home because they served 8.5 years in the Army and they don't have health care. Something is wrong. And we need to really start saying, bring our troops home. Please bring our troops home. Bring our troops home. Bring our troops home.
Yesterday, we as a people were in our respective places reading history. Today, we as a labor force are in Washington, D.C. making history. We are sick and tired of working a 40-hour week at our respective job sites and getting paid mere peanuts. We are sick and tired of employers who reject us, neglect us, and disrespect us on a daily basis and look for us to serve them with a smile. Respect is not only given, but should also be received. We are sick and tired of fighting for better contracts and ending up with the bare minimum, contract after contract. We are sick and tired of givebacks and concessions that our employees attempt to force upon us. Why must we pay into health care? Why must we give back all that we so rightfully earn? They say give back, we say fight back. We are sick and tired of helping to build companies from the bottom and taking them to the top, only to be locked out of our jobs that goes overseas. How can you outsource those who have been your resource? We are sick and tired of hearing how our economy is growing, yet our paychecks are stuck in medieval times. The price of health care is rising. The price of child care is rising. Home ownership and home borrowership is rising. Everything around us is rising, yet our paychecks are stuck on stupid. We are sick and tired, and it's time for a change.
When we called for this Million Worker March, it only made sense to reach out to one of the strongest brothers in the Teamsters. And I'm not afraid to call him that. This brother has guts. And that's what the Million Worker March is about. It's about brothers and sisters getting together with guts for a change and trying to make some change in this country. So without further ado, I'd like to announce that Mr. Chris Silvera is here from Local 808 of the Teamsters. He's also the chairman of the Teamsters National Black Caucus. Give him a round of applause.
Union! Union! Power to the people! Power to the people! Union! Power! Union! Power! I just wanted to perk you up before we went on the march for the hotel workers, because we were about to solve their problem today. I just wanted to, before I say what I had to say, give some props to the people that made this happen, that brought me to this march and put me back in a mood that I had been in a good long time. Ralph Shulman, Trent Willis, Clarence Thomas, the genuine, real, and true Clarence Thomas, Danny Glover, Jack, who else is up in here, man? Brenda Stokely, wait a minute, she's separate. Let me tell you something about Brenda Stokely. Y'all lucky. You are lucky she came up here with her energy level low. Because if her batteries were full, we'd be running up on that hill right now and making changes on our own. Are you with me? We the people. We the people of the United States in order to form a more perfect union. I'm going to tell you about the Constitution because I'm an Americanist. Establish justice. Ensure domestic tranquility. We don't have that today. George Bush has destroyed domestic tranquility. To provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare. If you're going to promote the general welfare, then that means we have universal health care. That's in the Constitution. The Constitution requires that we have national health care. Not only for ourselves, but to the future generations. They use the word posterity. I didn't want to confuse you. That's the future generations. What we're doing in this country today is robbing the future to pay the past. Your kids, your grandkids will owe so much money, they'll be working for $1.50 and be happy. Something's wrong with that picture. The Constitution, or the Bill of Rights, which is the first 10 amendments, said the people had the right to assemble and to petition government for the redress of grievance. So this is union stuff that I'm talking about. My grievances start like this. I want the right to strike without being replaced. I want the right to strike without being replaced because if I can strike, I can correct my issues. I don't need Kerry, and I don't need George Bush. I need the right to strike. When I get the right to strike, the workers will be empowered to handle their own affairs. My grievance is like this. I hate free trade. I want an end to NAFTA, PNTR, and all the other so-called free trade agreements that's robbing us of jobs, robbing us of $20 an hour, robbing us of health care, robbing us of pension plans. I want an end to free trade. I demand that this country withdraw from the World Trade Organization and the New World Order. We demand an end to privatization. Privatization is a means to transfer the wealth from the public into private hands and leave us without pensions and without dignified jobs. We demand an end to privatization. We want an end to deregulation. Deregulation of the trucking industry, deregulation of the airline industry has left all of these airlines, all of these trucking companies bankrupt. But more importantly, it has put the future of workers who put up 35 and 40 years, put up their pensions. Their pensions are in trouble. 40 years of work requires that I get my pension. Deregulation has destroyed secure work environments in this country. We want the government to end the idea of cross-border trucking, of truckers coming across the border to destroy our jobs, to destroy our highways, to threaten us while we're driving around. We want an end to cross-border trucking. And if you're going to bring them over here, then make sure they're in the master freight agreement. I want small classroom sizes for the kids. I want well-paid teachers. I want a high-quality education. But I'm going to tell you what I want the most. I want an end to the damn war.
It's $200 billion that we don't have for prescription drugs, that we don't have for teachers, new schools, better infrastructure, more doctors, more nurses, better paid teachers. I even want the cops to get some money. Oh, they might lock me up from time to time, but the better educated the cop, theoretically, he'll act better. But the war is destructive. The war is destroying the future. Wealth is finite. There is but so much money to go around. When you take $200 billion and ship it to Iraq, it means we lost something in America. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm sick and tired of George Bush. I'm sick and tired of the Democratic Party. But you know who I'm really pissed at? The AFL-CIO. This is the grassroots. This is the rank and file. The $100 million that they gave on a gamble. Because they gambling that Kerry gonna win. They did not have $1 million for the workers, the people who put up the money to make them give Kerry $100 million. They didn't have $1 million for us. Something wrong with the AFL. Something's wrong with John Sweeney. Something's wrong with Richard Trumka. Something wrong with Jimmy Hoffa too. Because they should have been here. They should have been the one to lead the march. If the timing was wrong, they should have told us when the right time was, and we would have been there. So I'm telling you right now, we the rank and file, this is a beginning. This ain't over. We just brought you here so you can start. Let me tell you something. There'd have been 100 times more people here today if the AFL-CIO had not went out of its way to trip us up, to put up roadblocks, to stop us from being here to express the will of the workers. Something's wrong with the AFL-CIO. I also got to give some props because there's some defiant Teamsters in the house. Oh yeah, there's some defiant union brothers up in here. Defying the AFL, I want to thank all my Teamster brothers, TNBC, Teamsters National Black Caucus, that came from California, Kansas City, Chicago, Cleveland, Houston, Texas, all over, Connecticut, Boston, to be here. Big up to TNBC. And I want to yield 2 minutes to my brother from the Transport Workers Union. Come on, brother.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Richard McKnight, and I'm a transit worker from New York City. And we move 7 million people every day. And we understand in New York all the issues of privatization. We understand all the issues of lack of education for our children. I'm here with my son right here. He's 9 years old, and I wanted him to be here because this is a monumental event. Because labor and grassroots organizations and the anti-war movement are coming together for the first time in a long time for all the issues of the working class. And we must remember that everything here is connected. The struggle in Haiti, the struggle in Iraq, the struggle in Palestine, the struggle in Colombia, where they are killing union representatives every day for trying to organize. We must understand it is all connected. The AFL-CIO must also understand that it is all connected. And we need to withdraw our pension funds from companies and the governments that give money to Israel, that use that money to kill people. Thank you very much. We are 1 million strong because when we go home, by the end of the day, more than 1 million will know about this event. Thank you very much.
Young people in this country, choices stem from either working at Walmart, going to jail, or going to the military. Those three options are not acceptable. That's why we need young people to rise up. It's time to rise up. And you not only fight for yourself, you fight for your kids too. We need the hip-hop nation to rise up. It's time to get political. Young folks can do it too. I'm not as old as I look. So now, with that said, I'd like to introduce a hip-hop group, a very strong brother, came up from the streets of Los Angeles. He's here to do something for us. I want you all to listen to him. Brothers and sisters, I present to you Will B.
Yo, check. I got the billionaires with me right now.
Right, that's
These guys represent the people that are running this country right now and have us all out here angry. I want everybody to put your signs up in the air if you plan on voting this year. And if you don't have a sign, put that fist back up in the air, because we know what this means, don't we? You can't hear me, put that fist back up in the air if you know what this means. Track 2. Yeah! The billionaires came to see some. We want to know how many people come on and plan on voting this year, because this is what the billionaires got in store. Check it out. Fast and back on Washington, when the billionaires took your voting rights away. You think the fellas got heard from the list? A lot of innocent people's names on this list. They said a robot on that November day, because some black people got turned away. So many fellas got tossed out of the bed, and the people are hanging chair. Down in Florida, we saw the quarter flow. This Georgia brother Ted was running the show, and the Secretary of State who was thinking the pain was the chair of the Florida Bush campaign. And the commentator was called George B. with his cousin who was heard on TV. And who was like the name is coming and we're gonna win it. If the billionaires can keep you from getting in, if you got a better place to be, you can be at home and watching TV, or you can be kicking it with your crew. Let the billionaires shoot for you. Come on, put your hands up, put your hands up, put your fist up, put your fist up, put your fist up. This is hip hop. Come on. They found a better way to make it. It seemed clean. They put an electronic voting machine. And then they sold those suckers nationwide. But we're the only ones who know what's on the inside. We push the button that the voting machine keeps track. And then it's always very easy to hack. We got it probably fast because our machines don't leave no paper. Baloney is that. The billionaires don't want you to vote this year. We're sending elections loud and clear. Come on, that the votes can be counted in your community. Why even register? You're wasting your energy. Don't go to the polls on election day. You can pause the election. And it better go our way. On election night, we're going to sit back and look. The billionaires don't want you to vote. If you're happy with your push and charm, do you want to keep a living long? You don't really want to rock the boat. The billionaires don't pay attention. And every country when they have an election day, people walk across miles just to have their say. Stay alive for days until the vote begins. Then they see a vote get counted just to see who wins. You're an early put obstacles in your way. You really hope you stay home on election day. If you won't come out, if one of yours is up to win, we'd have a very different government. Do you really want to fight in a war? Do you like the way they treat the poor? Do you care about your education? Like the billionaires controlling the nation? Do you want to help the CEOs? Do you like the way the money grows? You don't really want to rock the boat. The billionaires don't want you to vote. Yeah, thank you so much, please.
50 million, Will B, 50 million. Bling, ka-ching singers. All right, singers. All right.
The person who the idea came through for the Men Worker March is a member of the hip-hop generation. He's a person who had the vision for the Men Worker March because he thought it was time that young people had the opportunity to learn how to fight back. This time I'd like to bring to the podium Brother Trent Willis. Let's hear it for the brother.
All right, thank you very much. What you guys think about Will B? What you think about Will B? The hip hop nation is in the house too. Don't think we ain't. we'll make this a modern-day rainbow child coalition. Don't think we won't. We get tired of this political player hate. The hip-hop nation is going to rise up and be counted. That's what we're going to do. For those who don't know, my name is Trent Willis. I'm the former business agent for the ILW Local 10. I'm also an executive board member, and I'm also the co-chair for the Million Worker March on Washington. I'd like to start off by acknowledging a few people. The first person I'd like to acknowledge is a person that's not here right now. A person who it is very difficult for me to acknowledge because of emotional reasons, so I'm going to do my best here. But I want to acknowledge the person who was the inspiration behind the idea of the Million Worker March. And that person is not with us anymore. The person died last year, September 8, 2003. And that person is my mother, Barbara Jean Willis. She was the inspiration behind the Million Worker March, and I want you guys to give her a round of applause. Now, last night, we had a gathering at the District of Columbia University, and I spoke, and I almost got choked up there too, and I told the people in the audience that I was a longshoreman, and longshoremen don't cry. Well, I guess I kind of did away with that myth, but I want to acknowledge the pensioners of the ILWU for making the Million Worker March possible. I want to acknowledge the very young and strong and brave ILWU membership for making this possible, because the ILWU membership, Local 10, passed the first resolution that I brought to the local to have this Million Worker March unanimously. I want to thank the ILWU Longshore Division for passing to support the Million Worker March resolution unanimously. I want to thank my family who was up here on stage with me. To my left, I have my beautiful daughter here who was waving to the crowd. And I thought this would be very important. I brought them here because this is extremely important for our children to see, like the brother who spoke before me said. I got my son, Todd Willis, here. He's 6. Wave to the crowd. I got my wife, Lena Willis. My sister, Tammy Willis. And another strong inspiration in my life, who was an inspiration behind the Million Worker March. He doesn't know it, but all those political discussions we have in our living room, all that advice he's been giving me over the years, and all those times I was disciplined for doing wrong, my dad, Aggie Willis Jr., better known as Buster. I'd also like to thank the civil rights leaders and freedom fighters who came before us, those who are still here and those who are no longer here, because this march was given in their spirit. I'd like to acknowledge Martin Luther King Jr. I'd like to acknowledge Malcolm X, Patrice Lumumba. And you know what? I'd like to even dedicate this march to people like Emmett Till, people who never got justice, and people who it took 50 and 60 years to get justice. This march is for them also. In 1967, Martin Luther King came to our Local 10, and he was made an honorary member. Now I was 1 years old when that happened. But that just goes to show you how powerful Martin Luther King was. Because I couldn't read. I didn't know in a society that seems to be dead set on taking all of those things from us. When there are attacks on working people, both unionized and ununionized. That, brothers and sisters, both young and old, is the time to respond. We put together a lineup here, brothers and sisters, to put this march together. A lineup that was meant to provide offense. For too long has the labor movement been defensive and concessionary. The Million Worker March is about changing that. There's no way you're going to win a game with defense alone. With defense alone, the best you can do is tie or lose. You have to have some offense to make gains. And that's what the Million Worker March is about. I'm not going to speak much longer because I don't want to repeat everything the speakers spoke about before I got up here. But I just wanted to talk to you for a minute like I've talked to you on the job. It's time to rise up, young people. Our future is at stake. And those of you who are in my generation who have small kids like this, who are 8, 9 years old, 6 and 7 years old, you better wake up about this war in Iraq. And I'm going to give you one good reason to wake up. Because if this war goes on 10 more years, and that draft is instituted, whose kids do you think they're going to be drafted? They're going to be drafted ours. So don't think just because you're too old to be drafted that you're out of the water. Because they'll take somebody who is more dear to you than yourself and send them overseas and send them back here in a box. I'd like to acknowledge another person who was taken from me unjustly, who was an inspiration behind this march. And that was my older brother, Todd Leonard Willis. He was killed in 1983, and he was a member of the U.S. Army. And we still don't know what happened to him. He was killed in Fort Carson, Colorado. And we still do not know what happened to him. And those are the kind of atrocities that go on in this country every day with no response. And it was one thing I learned in my life from my parents and my family, the Willis family, is that when you're attacked, you respond. You don't sit idle and let people run all over you and do you any kind of way. Now here, in 2004, we made a call for a Million Worker March. And this is not the end today, brothers and sisters. When you leave here, you look at that website, like Brother Leo Robinson said, and then you come and join us. Because, brothers and sisters, we aim to respond. I want to introduce to you a woman who is a reporter and who, when no other television station, no other radio station on this planet took us seriously when we started this campaign, she took us seriously. And she called me on my cell phone to give me an interview for KPFK Radio, one of the more progressive stations in our nation. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you a very strong woman and a member of the Million Worker March, and also the Women's Mobilization, Margaret Prescott.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. You know, I want to say that the women are in the house. I'm here today representing the Global Women's Strike, and I'm really glad that Trent spoke about his mother as the idea behind the Million Worker March. For those of you who are still with us, I want to acknowledge all of the women who are here today, because as women, we're at the forefront of every movement. It doesn't matter that we're speaking late in the program. Without the women who are on the Million Worker March Committee, without somebody like Dolores Thomas, Clarence Thomas's wife, without Brenda Stokely, and all of the women out here, this event today would not have happened. I want all y'all out here to acknowledge each and every woman in this house today. I also want to say and bring greetings from our network, representing grassroots women and networks in 60 countries around the world, under the fiercely anti-war theme, unions, but there are many of us who are not in wage work, who are in the communities, who are mothers on welfare, who are relative caregivers, who are taking care of our children who are in prison. These are the people who could not be here today. These are the invisible workers, but we are workers nevertheless, and we are going to be invisible no more. Without our work, without the contribution, caregiving in the community, nothing, not even what goes on at the wage work could happen. Who are the invisible workers? There are the mothers, grandmothers, and other caregivers. They're grassroots activists. They're subsistence and family farmers and farm workers. They're prisoners and ex-cons. They're those struggling on welfare, on disability benefits, on Social Security. There are child and bonded laborers. They're domestic and home care workers. They're immigrants with or without papers. There are sex workers. There are refuseniks and veterans. There are students. There are rape survivors and others fighting for justice. There are community volunteers and more, whatever our sexual choice. Corporations must not be able to find cheap labor anywhere, not in sweatshops, not in prisons, not in farms, not in the home. Why should we compete as workers and be used against each other? Why not cooperate globally and win? Overwork, underpay, and no pay must end in every corner of the globe. Prison labor must end. Subsidies that now go to agribusiness must go to farm workers everywhere. The occupation in Iraq, but not only in Iraq, the occupation of Haiti must end. No more sweatshop labor enforced by U.S. Marines in Haiti.
The Dorochiba Railroad Workers of Japan, 26 railroad workers from Japan came to Washington, D.C. to join in the Million Worker March. And these are the workers who are the counterpart of the ILWU Local 10 in Japan. They fought privatization in Japan. They fought contracting out in Japan. They fought the smashing of workers' rights in Japan. They're engaged in ongoing struggle mobilizing the Japanese workers on a national basis. They are here with us, brothers and sisters, 26 Dorochiba Railway workers with us for the Million Worker March.
今日は労働者階級が本当の社会の主人公としての力を呼び覚ます歴史的な日です。
October 17, it will be the historic day of the working class. Today, we are going to convince ourselves of our great power and strength necessary to become genuine master of the history of society.
日本では本集会に連帯する多くの集会が東京、大阪、仙台、広島、福岡など十数箇所で行われました。
In Japan, many rallies in solidarity with this MWM have been accomplished in 10 and several cities such as Tokyo, Osaka, Sendai, Hiroshima, Fukuoka, and others.
日本の道路市は鉄道労働者を代表してミロワーカーマーチへの連帯の挨拶を送ります。
I'm here to express our solidarity with the Million Worker March on behalf of the railway workers of Dorochiba, Japan National Railway Motive Power Union of Chiba.
私たち道路千葉は1987年の国鉄の分割民営化攻撃に日本のストライキで戦い40名の解雇者を出しました。しかしそれ以降17年間今も民営化と対決し解雇された仲間を守り団結を守りますます生き健康と戦っています。
Our union Dorochiba waged two big strikes against the division and privatization of Japan National Railway of 1987 and more than 14 union members were dismissed for stopping transportation. Since then,
in spite of this mass dismissal, we have been fighting for 17 years, more and more resolutely against privatization in firm union solidarity to defend the dismissed colleagues.
私たちはランク&ファイルの戦いに深く共感しています。私たちも戦う労働組合を蘇らせるために戦います。
We stand together with you in our union common fight to unite rank and file and to revive militant movement of labor union.
ミリオンワーカーマーチと私たちの思いが一つです。
We share a common goal with the million worker march.
医療、福祉、生きる権利を取り戻そう。
Get back our health care. I'm here to express our solidarity with the million worker march on behalf of the railway workers of Doro Chiba, Japan National Railway Motive Power Union Chiba.
私たち道路千葉は1987年の国鉄の分割民営化攻撃に違反のストライキで戦い40名の解雇者を出しました。しかしそれ以降17年間今も民営化と対決し解雇された仲間を守り団結を守りますます生き健康と戦っています。
Our union Doro Chiba waged two big strike against the division and privatization of Japan National Railway of 1987 and more than 14 union members were dismissed for stopping transportation. Since then, in spite of this mass dismissal, we have been fighting for 17 years, more and more resolutely against privatization in firm union solidarity to defend the dismissed colleagues.
私たちはランク&ファイルの戦いに深く共感しています。私たちも戦う労働組合を蘇らせるために戦います。
We stand together with you in our union common fight to unite rank and file and to revive militant movement of labor union.
ミリオンワーカーマーチと私たちの思いが一つです。
We share a common goal with the million worker march.
医療、福祉、生きる権利を取り戻そう。
Get back our health care. Get back our welfare. Get back our right to life.
民営化に反対、労組の団結を破壊するな。
End privatization. Stop destruction our right to organize.
治安弾圧をやめろ。
Stop political repression of workers.
イラク侵略占領を直ちにやめよう。
End the war on Iraq. End occupation.
自衛隊を今すぐに戻せ。
Bring the Japanese self-defense force home now.
沖縄の基地を撤去せよ。
Withdraw all U.S. military base from Okinawa.
労働運動をランク&ファイルの手に取り戻そう。
Reclaim the labor movement from the for the rank and file.
11月7日、日本でもミリオンワーカーマーチを実現します。ぜひ日本に来てください。
We are going to hold a workers' solidarity rally on November 7 in Tokyo. We expect our rally will surely be successful, gathering a large number of the workers in solidarity with the Million Workers March in Washington, D.C. and the struggle of the KCTU of Seoul, South Korea. We ask you, brothers and sisters, come to Japan and join us.
内への階級戦争と外への侵略戦争に労働者階級の誇りにかけて戦おう。
We are the proud working class of the world. Let's fight against war at home and war abroad.
インターナショナルソリダリティ国際連帯の力で共通の敵との戦いに共に立ち上がろう。
Workers International United can never be defeated. Let's fight together against a common enemy. Brothers and sisters, in Goma,
Check, check. Yeah, how y'all? This is a didgeridoo. It's from Australia. The Aboriginal people who are still struggling for their land say that it was used to sound the world into being. Its sound will heal your chakras. It'll bring in the energy of our ancestors, and I play it for our ancestors. All of the workers who have died because Bush lied. All of the workers who couldn't find jobs here, who signed on the dotted line to be in the army to get sent off for oil. You understand? So, this is what we're going to do for you. I've got this poem. At the end of each year, I write these poems, see? So the poem for this year was called Your Mama's Last Supper. It was inspired by Renee Cox. And she's got this painting in the Brooklyn Museum called Your Mama's Last Supper. And I subtitled it, I said I wasn't going to rant like this, but Jesus, depicted as a naked woman dangling from a cross, hangs in the Brooklyn Museum as a New York state of siege hangs over Slime Square. National Guard by homestead patriots who slept through history class. C students like Mr. Bush, thinking Africa's a country, obviously didn't learn very much from Uncle Ho. Constipated with America, chauvinism, hating the French for Vietnam, lobotomy intact, in fact, brain locked in death position as he sends your sons to die for oil. And the ball drops as Dick Clark counts down the new year for the millionth time since television invaded the minds of millions, when we never realized that Shoshana Johnson got stiff for our benefits with no book deal. And to keep it real, 9/11 was an inside job. No matter which way you go to address it, the oppressor wins. Face it, Bush didn't win in the first place. Democracy is absent without one person, one vote, so go back to sleep, sheep. The stuff's too deep. As the real body count from Iraq does not make the news, and the chicken hawks suck the vote like blood from the corpses of your sons, because the rich go to college while your kid sucks up depleted uranium, and all the news is about Jacko getting jacked up, haunted by the ghost of Elvis and the Beatles as white folks seek revenge for Neverland. But we're running out of body bags and American flags, and the news does not report the real numbers of the dead, MIAs, AWOLs, nor suicides, so I bring you the truth, disguised as a poem, interrupting the sports, soap operas, and violent movies designed to keep you deluded, numb to the fact that some of your kids won't be back from Iraq. But this is just to detract from the fact the economy's whack. The president should be impeached for being a quack. Now, you can use my phone as long as you don't call your cousin in Baghdad. Last time, the feds followed me for weeks, so my mixed gray dreadlocks don't fit the profile. But any African name can make you suspect in Jersey City. Except everyone knows that real terrorists wear neckties. The biggest threat to world peace is George Bush. So let's organize a search for weapons of mass destruction on his ranch. Would that give peace a chance? After all, if he can steal an election while the whole world watches, what might he do next time while you're not paying attention? Oh yeah, you didn't know about those protests. It wasn't on those 90 stations of cable with nothing on. Well, while you watch hoop dreams like the Lakers and the Knicks, not paying attention to presidential tricks, the world said no to war. But we live in a land where the news makes us dumb, programmed to digest materialism, and we think we can buy anything with plastic. After all, the entire country's run on a deficit. So while you watch as the world turns, children in Iraq watch their world burn. You just change the channel, no lessons learned. Suddenly, you realize it can happen here, and you're buying duct tape and living in fear, storing water and batteries and such. The last to know what's going on in the communication age where Associated Press owns all the news on pages fit to read, and even the pals are mad. But what I really need to know is this. If Saddam Hussein had 30 doubles, what makes you so sure we got the right one? And even if we did, he could be dead before the trial. So don't believe the hype, but why believe me? I'm just a poet, but yo, I'm saying this really could be your mama's last supper. Peace, yo. Bishop.
Speaker is Alan Benjamin from the San Francisco Labor Council.
Sisters and brothers, the Million Worker March has reverberated around the world. We will be reading, interspersed throughout the day, short excerpts from greetings that were sent from union federations, unions, and organizations all around the world. I want to begin with one, which was sent from the National Workers Union of Venezuela, whose leaders were not allowed to be here today. They wanted to be here. This was a federation that was formed in opposition to the federation funded by the State Department that sought to overthrow the elected government of Hugo Chavez in Venezuela. Their representatives, their leaders were not given visas to come here. They write their solidarity and explain that in 22 departments across Venezuela today, they will be marching against the war, against FTAA, in solidarity with the Million Worker March.
Privilege and honor to have with us today Gene Bruskin.
Good afternoon, sisters and brothers. Thank you for your patience today, and I want to thank the organizers of the Million Worker March for this opportunity to speak at this very important gathering. I want to say something first briefly about U.S. labor against the war, because I believe it's very hopeful in an era when a lot of discouragement has come our way. Because 100 unions from around the country representing every kind of worker and representing more than 1 million people came together first to prevent the war and now to continue to oppose the occupation and our government's policies of hate, of exploitation, and of endless war, and an attempt to create our own vision about what a just and humane war and world should look like. This summer, the labor movement had some proud moments as one after another, delegates at union conventions representing more than 6 million workers, half of organized labor, resoundingly demanded an end to the war and an end to the occupation in Iraq. They stood as one strong voice to say not one more lie, not one more dollar, not one more death, not one more day. And in doing so, they rejected Bush's claim that he will build democracy in Iraq with January elections, because they knew that here at home, millions of African Americans will still have to fight for the right to vote in November, 150 years after the Civil War. And they rejected Bush's plan to privatize industry in Iraq, where they're even talking about privatizing the water of the Tigris and Euphrates River and allowing Bechtel-type companies to sell water back to impoverished Iraqis, because we've seen the scourge of privatization in our own country. We rejected Bush's claim that he wishes to improve the lives of the Iraqis, because we saw he doesn't even bother to count the number of civilians killed by our bombs every day.
Henry Cooper of LACLA, the Labor Committee for Latin American Advancement and Latinos for Peace, from Houston, Texas. Brother Henry.
Thank you very much. We are a little bit disappointed because we are coming from Texas, and we had a plan. We were trying just to come here, speak a few hours ago, and then pull out our robes and go and corral a jackass that left Texas 3 years ago and has been murdered our brothers and sisters. He came over here with the help of his brother, someone in Miami, someone over there in Florida, and he is being the responsible of a lot of debt. He has been using the excuse that his former friends, that their former fellowships that he helped to arm came and attacked the United States. He's been using the excuse that his former associates have killed our people, and now he's trying to find them. He's trying to find Osama bin Laden. But lately he said that he didn't care about it. He doesn't think that much about it. He's more interested in the oil of Iraq. And our brothers and sisters, our Latino brothers, they are not dying over there just because of the intentions of these war profiteers, of these warmongers. I hope that next time we'll have more time to express all what we have to say. And we're going to give a big help to our organizers here in the national level to speed up these kind of organizations. We are preparing in Texas, in Houston, several marches with undocumented immigrants by the end of the year, regarding whoever is going to be in the White House. And we're going to show how we can do better rallies in order to give the opportunity to all the people to speak, just like our sisters from Haiti and our brothers and sisters from Japan that are showing what is the international solidarity of the workers' movement. So thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.
Sister Nellie Bailey of the Harlem Tenants Council is a fighter, a class struggle fighter, a leader of the struggle for the tenants in Harlem, a leader of the struggle for social justice of the oppressed. Sister Nellie Bailey.
Thank you so much, Ralph. I'm not going to repeat a lot of what was said here today, but I do want all of us here and those who are watching to take a moment of silence for those 1,000 or more who have died in Iraq and the tens of thousands of Iraqis who have perished. When you pass the Vietnam Memorial, it grips you in your throat as well as your gut because you know that the blood that has been shed by our loved ones, your sons, your daughters, your husbands, your wives, your loved ones, is all in vain based on a lie of mass deceit. We say not only to the Bush administration, but to the Democratic Party that it is time to bring the war home. And the message that we have to the Democratic Party, because we know that the Bush administration is in fact a criminal empire on a level that we have not seen in modern history of this country. But we say to the Kerry campaign, you cannot come before us and say that you are going to win the war, because we know that that is a code word for billions and billions of more dollars being pumped into Iraq, while the standard of living here for the working class, on which this war is being waged by, it is our blood and labor of the working class and the blood of our sons and daughters. We as workers must dissuade ourselves of the harmful illusion that the Democratic Party is the lesser of the two evils. In fact, it is the twin of the evil of a rapacious empire of greed and murder and disenfranchisement on a global level never before seen in modern history. Now is the time for all of us to join in this promise of a movement built around the interests of workers, a movement that starts here today. It lights, shines as bright as the water that is reflected on the pool that looks up to the Lincoln Memorial. And we say to all of the country who are with us today via television, you can become part of that movement. We need you. No more blood to be shed for the rapacious greed of the criminal Bush empire. Bring our children home. Bring our children home. And you help us to start building a movement from this day forward. It is a new day. Peace and solidarity to all of you today and to all of you who are watching.
I take particular pleasure to introduce an author who has had a profound influence. Gerard Colby has written in a seminal book about the nature of DuPont, the corporate rule in this country, its criminal character, its continuous and rapacious exploitative role. But he is also the president of the National Writers Union, UAW 1981, I'm a member of it. And he is also part of an AFL-CIO council in Champlain, Vermont. He is a leader of the workers' struggle. He has been a supporter of the Million Worker March. He's a distinguished author, and I'm privileged to introduce him to you.
Greetings from thousands of freelance writers in the National Writers Union across the country. It's fitting that we stand here in front of the Lincoln Memorial, the memorial to the man who led the party of my father, to fight for free soil, free labor, and a democratic republic, the Republican Party. In those days of crises, the Republican Party was very different than what it is today. It did not stand for the status quo. It was, in fact, a new party that had come into existence because the economic alliance between the Midwestern farmer and the Southern slaveholder along the Mississippi had been replaced by a new economic alliance between the Midwestern farmer and the manufacturers and workers of the Northeast, making a new political alliance necessary in the form of a new national party. At that time, no existing party, neither Democrats nor Whigs, were facing up to the great moral and economic crisis of their time: slavery and the control by the slaveholders of the Supreme Court, the White House, and much of the congressional leadership. Today, we are faced with a similar crisis that also threatens America with a great historical divide, a divide of the people and a divide in the road to the future, a crisis that lies beneath the Iraq War, beneath the social inequities in our nation, our tax burdens, our loss of industrial, decent-paying jobs, our loss of family farms, our rising health care costs, and the prices of everything from prescription drugs to gasoline. And beneath, why the media does not tell the real story: inordinate corporate control. As a young writer, trying to tell the real story of the largest chemical corporation in America, DuPont, I found myself, my publisher, even the New York Times, confronted by that enormous corporate power. Fighting the suppression of my book right up to the Supreme Court, I learned that fighting alone as an individual was not enough to win. Writers in America, just like writers around the world already had, needed a union. That's why I'm a proud member of the National Writers Union and the professional division of our parent union, the United Auto Workers. Today, we writers and reporters are under pressure by corporate power as never before. In a recently released award-winning book, Into the Buzzsaw, leading journalists expose the myth of a free press, CBS's Dan Rather talks of his self-censorship about the war on terrorism and the Iraq War. The pressures of so-called patriotism, which was really a war fever, had undermined the press's ability to give the American people the facts they needed. So we end up with 30,000 troops in Afghanistan and Osama bin Laden still at large there along the border with Pakistan, and get 130,000 troops fighting in Iraq. And seldom do we hear oil mentioned as a cause of the Iraq War. CNN's Christine Amanpour spoke of the chill that has settled over our journalists with simple eloquence. We are muzzled and we are self-muzzled. Under our Constitution, our reporters are given the sacred trust of informing the people, to give them the news and information so vital for people to wisely govern themselves, to engage in the process of self-rule that we call democracy. For that responsibility, journalists who dare to speak out do so at the risk not only of their careers, but their very lives. In Iraq, we have lost more journalists killed, most deliberately targeted by both sides, than in any war in American history. That includes the Civil War, World War I, World War II, Korea, and yes, Vietnam. The International Federation of Journalists, of which the National Writers Union is a member, has put out a book about these killed journalists. It's aptly titled, Dying to Tell the Story. These stories are vital, and that is why, in keeping with our constitutional trust, we are here today speaking out. It is our testament to the American people and our testament to our faith in the great potential strength of the great majority of the American people, that when they know the truth, they make the right decisions. It may take time, but truth will out, and so will the American people's willingness to do the right thing. We in the National Writers Union know that America's labor movement is the average American's last line of defense against attacks on democracy by corporate power. As Lincoln explained, you cannot be against labor and be for America. Our crisis now is acute. Who can deny that the foundations of our constitutional republic are not in peril as they never have been before by a national security state that increasingly directs the foreign and now domestic affairs of state? That challenges our basic freedoms and is enthralled through war contracts by corporate power and its reach for underpaid labor markets abroad? Who can deny that our farms and our manufacturers are being replaced by the plantations of agribusinesses abroad and by factories abroad where desperate people work without decent pay or benefits under despotic regimes? Underpaid, oppressed labor against which our free farmers and free workers cannot fairly compete? Is that fair to anyone? We must ask the central question. Will we be a people who will continue this great experiment in history of self-rule, of democracy? Or will we, like the Roman yeoman farmers who inspired our forebears, whose symbols are seen every day on the floor of our House of Representatives, will we, like them, see our republic fall to the exigencies and greed of empire? Corporate empire. Your presence here is a testament to your faith in democracy in this republic, that no matter what happens on Election Day, as vital as that outcome is, the visions and voices of the people will not be silenced, and democracy, ruled by the people, of the people, and for the people, will not perish but prevail.
Sister Angina Conway is going to speak to us about Marshall Eddie Conway, a former Black Panther, framed and serving now 34 years in prison.
All power to the people. Power belongs to the people. I'm going to be very short because we're getting ready to close this program. This is a message from Eddie Conway. Anyone who wants more information about him, please go to www.freeeddieconway. I'm speaking on his behalf. Revolutionary greetings and solidarity to the workers, our families, our friends, and our supporters. I want my voice added to the millions of thousands of people for better wages, for universal health care, decent housing, food, and for all, a safe work environment. No other economic group has the interests of poor and oppressed people at heart more than the worker. So it is our duty to take the collective unity that we have developed here back into each of our communities and transform the unity into programs that will empower us. Coming together today is a beginning that will lead to the concrete changes in the condition we struggle against daily. As a political prisoner, I would like to call on everyone here to help free all political persons held since 1960. 40 years ago, we were too, marching and protesting and rallying as you are today. We are victims of the government counterintelligence program known as COINTELPRO. While that program was declared illegal in 1976 by the U.S. Senate committee known as the Church Committee, which was charged with investigating the abuses of the FBI and the relief, and in this time we still have no relief given to the victims that were imprisoned or arrested or murdered by that program. Over 35 years later, over 100 political prisoners in the U.S. continue to suffer as a result of COINTELPRO. We are mounting a campaign to get new hearings on COINTELPRO, to have it opened and reopened, revisited, and we would like all of you people here today and those in the audience that are listening and viewing, we would like you to contact your congressional representative and demand open new hearings to investigate the crimes of the political machine that moved against the people. We want an investigation into COINTELPRO now. We thank you very much for this listening here today, and we ask you to continue to struggle with us. Eddie Conway, free Eddie Conway. Free Mumia. Free all political prisoners. All power to the people.
Sister Lucy Murphy from Washington, D.C., brothers and sisters.
If you think of the Middle East in this modern time, you can't help but say the word Palestine. People there have lost their land. Some have lost their home. They live in other countries, their freedom almost gone. Palestine needs her freedom. Palestine needs our love, needs our love. Palestine needs her freedom, needs her freedom. Palestine needs our love. People there are rich, people there are poor. Some have education, so what are they fighting for? They're fighting for their freedom, fighting for their land, fighting for their children. Let's help them make a plan. Palestine needs her freedom. Palestine needs our love, needs our love. Palestine needs her freedom. Palestine needs our love. People of all countries, of every race and creed, we need a new beginning. Let us plant the seed of love, and let that love seed grow. Plant the seed for everyone, so all the world will know that Palestine needs her freedom. Palestine needs our love, needs our love. Palestine needs her freedom. Palestine needs our love, needs our love. Thank you very much.
Brothers and sisters, the final word. It is only fitting. Hear this now. And let me ask you who you think is the author of these words, brothers and sisters. All that serves labor serves the nation, and all that harms it is treason. If a man tells you he loves America, and yet he hates labor, he is a liar. If a man tells you he trusts America and yet he fears labor, he is a fool. There is no America without labor, and to fleece one is to rob the other. Labor is prior to and independent of capital. Capital is but the fruit of labor and could never have existed but for labor. The strongest bond of human sympathy must be that which unites working people of all nations and tongues and kindreds. I see in the near future a crisis approaching that unnerves me and causes me to tremble for the safety of my country. Corporations have been enthroned, and an era of corruption in high places follows, and the money power of this country endeavors to prolong its reign until all wealth is aggregated into a few hands and our republic is destroyed. Those words, brothers and sisters, were those of Abraham Lincoln, at whose memorial we have met. And since Abraham Lincoln articulated those words, brothers and sisters, we are told but recently that 1% of the population of this country owns and controls more than 95% of the rest of the people combined, brothers and sisters. They have hijacked this society. They have purchased the political process. They own the one big property party with two names. They are the permanent enemies of the working population of this society, and they wage class war against us every minute of every day, every minute of every hour of every day and every week. This movement, brothers and sisters, is about the rights of the many and not the rapacious greed of the few. And it is but the little beginning, brothers and sisters, because the real election, yes, the real election occurred today when working people elected to mobilize in our own name with our own agenda and to speak truth to power and to build that struggle and that movement across the society that will herald the day when we are the masters of our own destiny, and when, in Martin Luther King's words, we reshape this society and we transform America. Stay with us, brothers and sisters. There are a few here at this moment, but there are many for whom we speak, and there are even more whose life conditions cry out for the message of the Million Workers March. The struggle continues.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you who've come out today. But more importantly, I want to thank the volunteers who've, in some instances, worked all night, who have given of their time, money, and energy to make this Million Worker March possible. I want everyone to be heartened by this event today and to understand one thing. This is a movement. This is the 21st century civil rights movement. This movement will be more centered around class than race, which is not to say that race doesn't matter. It does. White supremacy is still in place, and so is institutional racism. But there are certain things that bind those of us in America who work for a living. We all share a common experience, having to go to work every day to make decisions about what bills we have to pay, whether or not our children will have a bright future. We don't live off of unearned income. And it's important to understand that we are going to have to make sacrifices if we want to make change in this country. Yes, and it starts today. And I would urge all of you to go back to your respective communities and organize house by house, block by block, union by union, in order to make the kind of change that's going to be necessary. We may even have to have sit-ins at the House of Congress. Whatever it's going to take, that's what we're going to have to do. So people need to get prepared for sacrifice. We can't get buffaloed into thinking that we don't have any power. We've got all the power, but we have to not be afraid to use it. We have to turn that television off. Start spending time with our neighbors discussing the issues. Freedom does not come free. You have to give something up for it. And what the corporations and the rich and the elected officials who are not serving our interests, they don't think that you have the courage to do it. They didn't think that we had the courage to have this march today, brothers and sisters, and we showed them that we did. And what you should also know is that we weren't just having a million worker march demonstration here in the United States, at the nation's capital. There were demonstrations going on throughout the world. They don't want you to know that. Despite what you may read or not read in the paper tomorrow, do not be discouraged, because CNN is not our friend. ABC is not our friend. The New York Times is not our friend. What we have to realize is that we don't have truth in media. So please, go back to your communities, organize. This is our country and we need to act like it's ours. Don't be afraid to stand up. Don't be afraid to fight back. Don't let them tell you that you don't have power. We can shut this country down. All we have to do is do it. Don't get all hyped up about these upcoming elections. We understand what these candidates represent. And it's a damn shame that all of our money, especially that coming from organized labor, is going to the Democrats. The Democrats have failed us. The Republicans have failed us. We all know that. It's time for a new day. And we have to stop being lazy and get prepared to run candidates that will represent our own interests. I say this to you. Remember the spirit of the Million Worker March, but more importantly, be prepared to do whatever it takes in order to have those 22 demands met. It's not going to be easy, and it's not going to happen overnight. But every time an elected official comes to your union hall, comes to your church, you stand up and say, we want universal health care. We want a national living wage. We want that military budget cut. Let's throw these bombs out of office. They're not represented. That's what time it is now. I thank you all. I wish I could name every single person that had something to do with this event today. But I want to thank the brothers and sisters from the ILWU, from the International Action Center, from AFSCME, from NEA, all of those who endorsed the Million Worker March. And to those who thought that you could stop the people today, keep this in mind. We're coming back with more. Next time we're going to shut the country down. We're going all the way. All power to the people. Power to the people. All power to the people. The spirit of the people is greater than the man's technology. The spirit of the people is greater than the military-industrial complex. The spirit of the people is greater than George Bush. The spirit of the people is greater than John Kerry and the Democratic Party. And we say this, whatever the outcome of those elections are, we're not going to stop moving. We got plenty of work to do. Our children's lives are on the line. We do not have to take lowered expectations, brothers and sisters. That's BS. We're growing up in a time when we can say that our children don't have a bright as future as we had. There's something wrong with that picture. Let's change that.
We yield my time, the rest of the time, to Jack Turners, who's been one of the banjo players that I've been inspired by since I came to the movement. I've seen Jack play, and his playing is very heartwarming. And I would like to let you know this is going to be possible, our final act, and after that, Ralph's going to have a few closing remarks, and then we're going to ask the volunteers to meet behind the sound stage so that we can get this gear back
and put it together so next time we come here, we can have another rising event and let the politicians know that we will be heard. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Shane. This is called the Union Grand. It's the theme song of this march. This is sing-along, too. Come on, you miners, you truckers, you welders, pipefitters, dock workers, pickers, house builders, all walks of life from each union and local, come join the Union Grand. Come on, you marchers, you chanters, you posters, naysayers, sign holders, letter writers, jokers, peace and for justice for the people, for the plan. Come join the Union Grand. Come join the grand union of unions. Come join the Union Grand. Our struggles for justice are struggles united. Come join the Union Grand. Solidarity, my friend, there are forces to hold institutions and systems running out of control. To harm us and rob us and worse to divide us. Come join the Union Grand. Solidarity, my friend, the cogs are upon us. Life on this planet gets a great more profit. Organized and united forever to stop it. Come join the Union Grand. Come join the grand union of unions. Come join the Union Grand. Our struggles for justice are struggles united. Come join the Union Grand. Solidarity, my friend, is a thunderous word. It can shake the tall towers or roil the wide earth. We are the tide, we are billions. Come build the Union Grand. Come build the grand union of unions. Come build the Union Grand. Our struggles for justice are struggles united. Come build the Union Grand. Come build the grand union of unions. Come build the Union Grand. Our struggles for justice are struggles united. Come build the Union Grand. Struggles for justice are struggles united. Come build the Union Grand. Our struggles for justice are struggles united. Come build the Union Grand. Thank you very much.